What if the man who saved you from the noose wasn't your savior at all, but the one danger you could never outrun? The rope felt heavier than Martha Reynolds ever imagined. Not the weight of hemp, the weight of her fate. The weight of Red Dust, Arizona, watching her die under a false name they'd forced on her, Eliza Moore. A lie tied to her neck like punishment. The desert sun scorched the cracked earth as the crowd pressed closer, hungry for the show. The gallows creaked in the dry wind, fresh-cut pine boards already warping. Someone had carved justice into the beam, crooked and mean. Sheriff Briggs shoved her forward with the butt of his rifle. Her wrists were raw, scraped open from days in jail. She stumbled onto the wooden steps, 13 of them, and her bare feet burned against the boards. The people parted for her like she carried plague. Mothers pulled children close. Men spat tobacco at her feet. Mrs. Hutchinson snarled, "Murderer! You killed a good man." Martha almost laughed. Samuel Thornton had been many things. Rich, spoiled, drunk, cruel. But good wasn't on the list. She'd washed his blood off her hands for 2 long days. Not from guilt, from what he'd tried to do to her, from what he'd done to the other girls before her. The knife had found his throat by accident. Her accident, when she'd grabbed it from him to stop him from cutting hers. Judge Pike swayed beside the gallows, drunk as usual. He lifted the charges with false respect. Accused of murder, accused of theft, found guilty by a jury made from the crowd itself. "Any last words?" He slurred. "My name ain't Eliza Moore," she whispered. Nobody cared. The executioner tugged the rope, testing it. The noose swung in the hot wind, waiting for her. Martha lifted her chin. If she was going to die, she would not die small. Then she heard it. Hoofbeats. Fast. Hard. Cutting through the roar of the crowd like thunder-splitting sky. A black horse crashed into the square, dust swirling around its rider. He wore a long duster coat despite the heat. His face was sharp, weathered, scarred. His eyes cold as gunmetal. He pulled his horse to a stop so sudden it sent dirt flying. "Cut her down," quote. His voice was quiet but carried through the whole town like a threat wrapped in a whisper. Sheriff Briggs laughed, though fear clung to his voice. "And who the hell are you supposed to be?" The stranger reached into his coat. Men in the crowd reached for guns. But he didn't pull a weapon. He pulled a folded paper. Official, yellowed, sealed. "Name's Cain Graves," he said. "That woman is my wife." Chaos erupted. Murmurs, gasps. Judge Pike nearly fell off the platform. Martha froze. She'd never seen this man in her life. Briggs ripped the paper open. "This is a marriage certificate. Fort Worth. Dated 2 months ago." Cain swung off his horse, boots hitting earth with the weight of certainty. Martha Reynolds became Martha Graves in front of Judge Harlan and half the town. "You hang her without my testimony, and the governor will skin you alive." The crowd shifted. Doubt cracked their bloodlust. Briggs looked lost. Judge Pike's face turned pale. "Even if she's your wife," Pike muttered, "she's been convicted." Cain stepped closer. His hand rested easy on his Colt, ready but not threatening. "By what jury? A mob you bribed? Got witnesses, or just a dead man and convenient lies?" The crowd rustled. Eyes looked away. The truth floated ugly among them. Then Cain said it. "Way I hear it." Thornton treated his girls like cattle. A man like that builds more enemies than fences. Someone shouted liar. Cain's coat swung open, showing a second gun. "You calling me a liar, friend?" No one answered. Cain turned to the judge. "You got 2 choices. Cut her loose, or explain to Austin why you hanged a married woman without proper law." Silence stretched. Then Judge Pike nodded. "Cut her down." The executioner saw the rope around her wrists, hands shaking. Martha stepped back from the noose as if waking from a nightmare. Cain's eyes met hers for the first time. Cold, sharp, unreadable. "You do now," he told her quietly. Then louder, "Anyone follows us, and they'll answer to me." He lifted her onto the black horse, swung up behind her. The crowd parted, fear replacing excitement. Martha felt his arm around her, steady and strong. The horse lunged forward. The gallows shrank behind them. Briggs yelled through dust, "This ain't over! We'll wire Fort Worth!" Cain touched his hat. "You do that. Give my regards to Mrs. Briggs. Hope her bruises healed." Briggs turned white. The crowd whispered. They rode out of red dust. Slow. Controlled. Showing they feared nothing. Only when the town disappeared behind the shimmer of heat did Martha finally speak. "Why?" Her voice shook. "Why save me? I ain't your wife." Cain didn't look at her. "Maybe not," he said, "but someone paid good money to make sure you hang. And someone else paid better money to make sure you don't." Martha's blood went cold. "Who?" "Doesn't matter." He nudged the horse faster. "You're breathing, that's all you need to know." Behind them, dust rose. Riders. Cain saw it before she did. "Hold on," he said. "They're coming." The desert opened before them like a furnace. The chase had begun. What if the man who saved your life wasn't a hero, but a hunted ghost carrying more secrets than bullets? The desert wind tore at Martha's hair as Cain pushed the black horse harder. Behind them, dust rose in a thick cloud. A posse. 8 or 10 riders, maybe more. Sheriff Briggs was not letting them go without a fight. Cain didn't look back. He didn't need to. "They're too close," Martha said, breath shaking. "Hold tighter," Cain ordered. "We'll lose them in Devil's Canyon." He guided the horse toward a narrow cut in the land where the canyon walls rose high and red. The air cooled a little as they slipped into the shade, but danger pressed in from all sides. Martha kept glancing back, hoping to see the dust fading, but the riders were gaining. "Why are they still following us?" she whispered. "Pride," Cain said. "Briggs would rather die than be made a fool of." The canyon narrowed into a steep trail. Above them, rock walls leaned inward, as if trying to swallow them whole. The horse climbed, hooves scraping the loose shale. Martha's voice trembled. "They'll catch us," quote. "Not if I say otherwise." He yanked the reins left and turned sharply toward a hidden gap in the canyon wall. Martha didn't see it until they were already inside. A razor-thin trail led upward, carved by ancient waters, almost invisible to the eye. "How did you know this was here?" she asked. "Luck," he said. Then, after a beat, "And the fact I've been running my whole life." The trail climbed fast, too fast. Martha's stomach dropped as she looked down. The canyon floor was far below, and if the horse slipped even once... She gripped Cain's coat to steady herself. "Don't look down," he murmured. "Just breathe." They made it to a narrow rock shelf overlooking the main canyon. Cain swung down and lifted Martha off with one hand while steering the horse into the shadow of an overhang. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "They'll ride right under us." He pulled his rifle from the saddle as easily as pulling breath. Martha pressed against the rock wall, heart pounding. Cain moved to the edge, keeping low. Minutes later, the posse thundered through the canyon below. 9 men, 2 dogs, guns drawn, eyes searching. Sheriff Briggs was at the front, shouting orders. The bloodhounds sniffed wildly, but the flood of scent in the canyon confused them. "Why not shoot?" Martha whispered. Cain didn't look at her. "Killing lawmen brings more lawmen. Killing them sends dogs deeper into the canyon." He tilted his head toward the north. "They'll ride straight into Comanche hunting land. They'll die. Then they should have stayed home." His voice was cold, too cold. Martha shivered. When the riders disappeared around a bend, Cain finally lowered his rifle. "We move at dusk," he said. "Storm's coming. Good cover." Martha sniffed the air, confused. "There's no storm. Sky's clear." "Smell again." She did. This time she caught it, the metallic scent of rain before it breaks. "You read the weather too?" Martha asked. "I read anything that keeps me alive." They climbed higher, following a safer path Cain found. When they reached a larger ledge, under a deep overhang, he unsaddled the horse and checked its legs. The animal exhaled like it trusted him completely. You take good care of him, Martha said. Cain's face shifted, just a flicker, something soft behind the scars. He saved me more times than I can count. He rubbed the animal's neck with a tenderness that didn't match the dangerous man she'd seen at the gallows. What's his name? Brimstone. Why that? He was devil-touched when I got him, Cain said. Bites every man except me. Why not you? Maybe he recognized something familiar. Lightning cracked across the sky. Rain followed, thick, heavy sheets that turned the rock into a slick river. They ducked into a small cave high on the canyon wall, just big enough for shelter. As the storm raged outside, water pounded like fists against stone. Martha hugged herself, shivering. Without a word, Cain grabbed his duster and draped it over her shoulders. It smelled of leather, dust, and something that might have been gunpowder. "Thank you," she whispered. He grunted, adjusting his hat. Silence stretched thick between them. Outside, thunder rolled like distant war drums. Inside, only their breaths broke the stillness. After a long moment, Martha whispered, "Cain, are you planning to kill me?" He didn't flinch. "If I was, you wouldn't be asking." "That's not comforting. It's the truth." He checked his revolver, the motion calm and practiced. "Someone paid for you to live. Until that changes, you're under my protection. And when the money runs out, quote." Cain's eyes flicked up, meeting hers, gray and impossible to read. "Then we'll see who you really are, Martha Reynolds." The wind howled. Rain hammered the canyon. Inside the cave, her heart pounded louder than the storm. Hours passed in uneasy quiet. Martha couldn't sleep. She stared at the shadows crawling across the walls. Cain? Will they keep chasing us? Yes. For how long? "Until one of two things happens," he said. "They catch us, or I stop them." His tone made clear which outcome he preferred. Another silence, a heavy one, a dangerous one. "Cain," she whispered, "why did you really save me?" He didn't answer for a long moment. When he did, his voice was low, almost regretful, because someone wanted you dead too badly. "Samuel's people?" "No." He turned his head slightly, just enough for her to see the shadow in his expression. "Someone far worse." Martha's blood went cold. "Who?" "I don't know yet," he said, "but we're going to find out." A roar of wind shook the cave. The storm swallowed the world outside. Before Martha could ask anything else, Cain shifted closer, pistol across his lap, eyes on the cave mouth. "Try to sleep," he murmured. "You'll watch." "I always watch." She lay on the cold stone floor, wrapped in his coat, watching the rise and fall of his chest. For the first time since the gallows, she felt oddly safe, even if she knew she shouldn't. What if the only man you trust is the one death keeps chasing, and loving him means stepping into the gunfire with him? Morning came slow and gray. The storm had washed the canyon clean, leaving the air cool and sharp. Martha woke with Cain's duster still wrapped around her shoulders. Brimstone snorted near the entrance, stamping his hooves. But Cain was gone. Martha shot upright, heart hammering. She scrambled to the cave mouth, ready to fear the worst, until she saw him crouched at the cliff's edge, studying tracks below. "You scared me," she said. Cain didn't turn. "Good. Fear keeps you alive." She joined him at the ledge. The canyon floor below was carved deep with washed-out footprints, scattered debris, and fresh hoofprints leading south. "They doubled back," Cain said. "But the storm slowed them. We've got a few hours head start." "We're still running," Martha said softly. "Until we figure out who wants you dead," he replied. "Running is living." He stood, wincing, just slightly, as he shifted his weight. She noticed. "You're hurt." "I'm always hurt." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you're getting." Despite everything, a faint smile tugged at her lips. He was impossible. And yet, he kept her alive. They saddled Brimstone, then followed a narrow trail out of the canyon. The morning sun rose hot and unforgiving. Hours passed. The land flattened into open desert, dotted with mesquite and low shrubs. Their silence turned heavy. Not uncomfortable, but full of questions neither dared ask out loud. Near midday, they spotted a cluster of cottonwoods surrounding an abandoned way station. The roof sagged. The door hung crooked, but it offered shade. Cain tied Brimstone and checked the building with his gun drawn. Clear. Inside, dust danced in beams of light. A few rusted cans lay forgotten in a corner. A broken chair. A calendar from years ago. Time had died here. Martha sat on an overturned crate, rubbing her wrists where the rope had burned them raw. Cain tossed her a canteen. Drink. She did. The warm water tasted like metal, but it steadied her. Tell me something, she said, watching him pack supplies. No. You don't even know what I was going to ask. Still, no. She narrowed her eyes. Why does someone want me dead so badly? Cain stopped moving. He didn't sigh, didn't flinch, didn't show emotion. He just went very still. Finally, he said, because you saw something. Saw what? Something Thornton didn't want you to remember. Something someone else thinks you did remember. Her stomach twisted. Cain, I didn't see anything. You don't need to have seen it, he said quietly. You just need them to think you did. Before she could answer, the ground vibrated with a distant rumble. Hooves, more than one rider, coming fast. Cain grabbed her hand. Inside, now. They ducked into a root cellar beneath the station. The space was tight, the air stale. Martha pressed her back against cool dirt as Cain pulled the trap door almost shut. Through the crack, they saw shadows outside. 4 riders. Voices drifted down. Tracks end here. She's close. That bounty's ours. Bounty. The word made Martha's blood run cold. Cain leaned close, mouth near her ear. Stay silent. Her heart hammered, louder than the footsteps above. After minutes that felt like hours, the riders moved on. Hoofbeats faded into the distance. Cain eased the trapdoor open, helping her out. We can't stay here, he said. They'll circle back. They mounted Brimstone and rode hard until the sun began to fall. At last they reached a small trading post. Lizard Springs. A corral. A well. A few adobe buildings. Smoke drifted from a cook fire. Safe enough for one night. An older German man ran the post. Schultz. He took their gold with no questions. Got rooms, he said. And stew. Martha ate slowly, trying to calm the shaking in her hands. Cain ate like a man who didn't know when his next meal would come. After supper, they sat outside under the rising stars. The quiet felt like a gift. Tell me something, Martha whispered. What now? Why me? Why save me? Cain said nothing for a long time. He uncorked a bottle he'd bought earlier, poured 2 glasses, handed one to her. Then he spoke so softly she almost missed it. Because someone paid for me to save you. She stiffened. Who? I don't know. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense when you've lived my life. He took a slow drink. Someone wanted Thornton dead. Someone wanted you silenced. Someone else wanted you alive. Which side are you on? She asked. He didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Before she could push, footsteps approached. A man, Mexican trader, kind eyes, brought supplies. A riding skirt for her, a vest, clean clothes. Cain paid him without argument. When the trader left, Martha changed in the small washroom and stepped back into the courtyard. Cain looked up, eyes moving over her silently. You look like someone who can ride, he said. I can. That's good, because we leave before sunrise. She stepped closer. What if I don't want to run anymore? Cain held her gaze. Then you die. So do you. His jaw tightened. I'm used to dying. Well, I'm not. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Touch me deeper. He froze. Martha. You heard me. You don't know what you're asking. I know exactly. She stepped closer until her chest brushed his. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from everything twisted inside her since the gallows. You said you'd never find your way out, she whispered. Maybe I don't want you to. Cain's breath hitched. His hand lifted halfway to her cheek, then dropped. I'm not good for you, he said, voice rough. I'm hunted, violent, half-broken. That makes two of us. Before he could reply, a gunshot cracked across the square. Cain shoved Martha down, rolling behind a water trough as bullets splintered the adobe wall. They found us, he snarled. More shots lit the night. Riders thundered into the post. Lanterns shattered. Horses screamed. Cain dragged her toward the back gate. Run! But Martha grabbed his arm. I'm not leaving you. You'll die if you don't. Then we die together. For the first time, he looked at her, really looked. The fear, the fire. The woman who'd fought him at every turn but trusted him with her life. Something in him broke. Or healed. He cupped her face with both hands, pulling her close. If we live, he breathed, you're mine. If we live, she said, I already am. Gunfire roared. Cain pulled her behind the corral, gripping her hand tight. Martha, he whispered, stay close. Always. Quote, they ran into the darkness. Two hunted souls, bound by danger, by fire, by something neither could name. And Cain didn't let go of her hand once. Their future wasn't promised. But they faced it together,